It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hello, everybody. It is showtime. Yeah, it is. You know what time it is? It's time for the Geno Jones Show. Ladies and gentlemen, I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 5:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. So I'm here in the Charleston, South Carolina Metro. So shout out to everybody on the East Coast time in Atlanta, Miami, or my people up in the DMV, as they call it, DC, Maryland, and Virginia. We're going to be talking about Virginia and just kind of the state of the political union or the political state of our union in just a couple of minutes. As a matter of fact, it's going to be part of my monologue, okay? So please subscribe to the Geno Jones channel. Tell everybody you know to subscribe to my channel. Your friends, your enemies. Shout out to, as a matter of fact, I just saw a post on my feed. Shout out to my cousin in Chicago, Krista Alston. She is an AKA, so apparently this is the AKA's anniversary. So a happy AKA-versary to the AKAs out there. And a big shout to all the Divine Nine, all the sororities and fraternities. Nothing but love and respect for the work that you have done since you guys have been into existence. So I just wanted to do that. So tell everybody you know, your sorority sisters, your fraternity brothers, your Masons, your Eastern Stars, your church members, your co-workers, your colleagues, folks you play card game partners with, folks that you gamble and go to Vegas, you play basketball with, that you have your little wine parties and sit around, your book club members, everybody, even folks you don't like, tell them to subscribe to the Geno Jones channel. Please share this and every episode and like every episode. And if you like to be a sponsor or advertise, I'd love to have you as a sponsor, as an advertiser. Join the Geno Jones family, the Geno Jones Network. And if you're looking for the ultimate pitch, man, Lord have mercy. I gotta be honest and as humble and modest as I can. But Muhammad Ali said, it ain't bragging when you can back it up. I'm the king, not the king. I'm the king of pitchmen. Leave me a message right here. Geno Jones Show at Gmail. My guest, she's a news producer, a political producer in the DC, Maryland, as they call it, Virginia, the DMV area. Her and I, this very talented woman and I used to work together. She worked here in the market. As a matter of fact, she was a guest on the morning show with my man, Chef in the Morning. My day job here in Charleston, South Carolina, Star 99.7. And on our sister gospel station is Edwin the Chef Wright. So Miss T, or Tamala Savage, we used to call her Miss T, and we got a wonderful affectionate pet name. She was a guest on the show about a month ago. She did a great job, or I should do my Tony the Tiger, a great job. So I couldn't wait to get her back on the show. I didn't want to burn her out because I was going to bring her back like, hey, listen, we need to run this back, have you on the regular, at least once a week. But she's a busy person, so I'm humbled and honored, and I'm very grateful that she took some time from her busy schedule, because it's popping up. It's a lot of chatter up in the Virginia, the DMV area, and she's right there in Virginia, so she can give us some insight on what happened in that governor's race yesterday. So first of all, let me start off the show with some good news. If you have a child between the ages of 5 and 11, yes, they can finally get vaccinated today, right now. Yes, the Pfizer vaccines for children between the ages of 5 and 11 started today. Yes, kids are getting shots in arms just in time. As a matter of fact, so the dose is like a third of the adult dose, and they get 2 shots. They'll get one. So if they got one today, they will go back in 3 weeks from today and get the second shot. So get your kids vaccinated. So Christmas, you can take them and you make sure you vaccinated, okay? Set a good example, damn it, grown folks. So you guys can go visit your grandma, your great-grandmother, and everybody can have a wonderful time Christmas, and you don't have to worry about, getting your grandmother sick or worse. A lot of our elderly, they have just, pre-existing conditions, comorbidities, comorbidities, as they like to call it. Yes, I'm not a doctor, but that's what they call it, morbidities. So anyway, bottom line, make sure do it, and just don't do it for your kids, but do it for somebody that they may not even know. They could spread the virus to another child, and that child could have a parent or a sibling or a grandparent that's immune system is compromised. I saw one woman on Today. She wanted her child to get vaccinated. She said she had been vaccinated, her family, because her child, her daughter, had a transplant, some type of organ transplant several years back. So her immune system is highly compromised. So that's some good news. Now, everybody, let's segue here, because folks are talking about what happened in the Virginia's governor's race. Trump light, or Orange Hitler light. It's Glenn Youngkin, I think is this dude who really ran on this just made up lie. I got to just say it the way it is, guys. Because listen, everybody that watches my show on a regular basis, I have explained to everybody what critical race theory is and is not. And it is something that, I'm going to be honest, these Republicans have twisted and used it to scare and put fear and energize the racist, white nationalist part of their base. That's just a fact. As a matter of fact, that's not a secret. All right? But then there's been a lot of talk about black people and young people didn't turn out in Virginia. Why? All right. Pass the Voting Rights Act. Provide child care. I've been talking about this. Provide child care. You complain about, well, there's a lot of jobs and people are not going back to work. Hey, pay them more money. Pay them $15 an hour. Folks are not going back. Listen, a lot of folks figured out, wait a minute. If you were able to survive this pandemic, a lot of people got laid off. A lot of folks, low-wage people, they were the ones that were really losing their jobs in large numbers. Folks making $7.25 an hour, which is a crime in America. How is it in 2021? The federal minimum wage is only $7.25 an hour. You can't live. You couldn't live in the desert. You can't even be homeless and survive on $7.25 an hour with overtime. All right. So you want black people, you want people of color, you want young people to turn out. You want them to fight for you and vote for you. You got to fight for them. Pass the Voting Rights Act. Provide pay for child care. Pass laws where everybody can afford child care. Provide some financial assistance for people who need, families, especially even two-parent families struggling. So single parents are really, it's impossible. Some people, depending on if you have 3 or 4 kids, more than half of your take-home pay is going into child care. All right? Cancel. Now, you really want to get young people energized? Cancel student loan debt. As a matter of fact, you won't just energize young folks, you'll energize their parents, and a lot of folks that's not so young that still got student loan debt. Remember, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama walked into the White House, and both of them still had student loan debt. They didn't pay it off until after Barack Obama became the president of the United States. So this student loan debt is real. And make sure that people continue to get the $250 or $300 per child a month that President Biden got passed through the Congress. Remember something. Let me just say this. Republicans will always use racism and sexism to energize their base. All right? It's an old playbook. It's a playbook as long as there's been politics. people have used racism, hate, white nationalism, that whole ideology, fear, sexism, and misogyny to generate anger, fear among a certain part of Americans. It is historical fact. You can call that critical race theory. That's critical race truth. Ruth? So the only way to match or beat that it's really immoral, but it's about power. It's about power and making sure that laws are passed to protect wealthy, rich people's money. And that's really what politics in America is coming down to, right? That's why you got people like Joe Manchin fighting. This whole, I don't want America to become an entitlement. What do you mean entitlement? You don't want people to you don't want poor and working class people, as President Biden said, to get a fair shake and a break. How is it that all these wealthy companies, billion-dollar, almost trillion-dollar companies, pay no federal income tax? How is it that people like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, that owns Tesla, and billionaires like that, Warren Buffett, how is it that they pay less money in taxes than their secretaries, than a teacher, or a cashier at Walmart? Man, there's something wrong with that. Or a school bus driver, or a teacher. It's something, as Keith Sweat says, he got a song, something just ain't right. And something just ain't right with that. So remember, Republicans will always use racism, sexism, and misogyny, and homophobia, fear, demonize women, tell women that somehow it's immoral for them to want to be able to make a decision about their reproductive health and their body, when a man would never, ever tolerate the government or nobody telling him what he could do with his body. Oh man, if God could flip it just for a year to where men had to give birth. Now, we don't have a birth canal, but if God could figure out a way to flip that, just to give men a taste, just let them understand what it's like. Vaginal birth, C-section, breech babies, ectopic pregnancies, where basically the fertilized egg winds up in the fallopian tubes. Come on, men, listen, men cannot stand to be constipated. Men can't even deal with a hard bowel movement. They get constipated. They in tears and sweating. Oh Lord, looking for something to take. Man, I need some stool softener. I'm not drinking enough water. Doctor, give me something. An enema, flush me out. Doc, I can't deal with it. Men couldn't deal. God knew what he was doing. Because if men had to bring life into this world, we would be extinct as a species. So remember, Republicans are always going to use racism and sexism to energize their base. Now, the only way to match that, because there's levels to racism and sexism. You've got the domestic terrorists storm the Capitol with the flag, with the Confederate flag, building the gallows in front of the Capitol, yelling, "Hang Mike Pence," and Nancy Pelosi, that be where she's at. Yeah, you got that. You got the Dylan Roofs, you got that crowd. Then you've got the ones that smile, say, "Oh, I'm not racist." And they wear a suit or some Dockers, or they got their little Brooks Brothers suit. But they engage and they support a system of institutionalized racism. The Department of Justice announced today they are basically going to expand their investigations about companies, banks primarily, banks and lending institutions that still to this day engage into a practice that's called redlining. And I explained that to you. So if you're new to the show and you don't know what redlining means, redlining is a practice that's been going on for decades, generations, arguably centuries. Banks, insurance companies, lending institutions, mortgage companies, people that will loan you money give you money for a mortgage, or you want to get your home insured or a car insured. And what happened is that these companies would have literally a giant map on the wall with every zip code in their city or town. And they knew exactly where all the black people, because most of these cities and towns, like I grew up in Chicago. Chicago is still pretty segregated. Not as segregated as it used to be, but it was really segregated. That's the story of many cities and towns. And they knew exactly where all the black people lived. And they literally took like a red Sharpie, a red marker, and would draw lines, hence the term redlining, around the black zip codes, the zip codes where all the black people lived. Sometimes they would just take the red Sharpie and just like read it out. Say, no, anyone that lives inside that red line, we will not loan money to, we will not give them a policy to insure their home or their car. And if we do, we're going to charge them twice as much, 3 times as much or more. And that practice still goes on. That is institutionalized racism. And there's no institution in America that still doesn't engage in some level with institutionalized racism. You name it: politics, law, medicine, education, Wall Street. There is no institution in America that is not affected by institutionalized racism. It's just a fact. So the best way to try to match that energy and beat it is to appeal and improve their health, their money, and the lives of their kids. Make sure that everybody, regardless, there's no such word as irregardless, regardless if you have $300, if you and your family make $200,000, $300,000 a year, some would argue they don't need any help. But universal pre-K, that's pre-K for that's not daycare, pre-K, pre-kindergarten. Your child will be in school. 3 years old, 4 years old, they'll be in school, even if you don't have the money. Give every child, even if their parents don't have the access and the resources to take them to a special private preschool or to hire tutors, give every child, regardless of what they look like, give them a real head start in life. Universal means for everybody. Pre-K for all children. Make sure that $250 or $300 a month that many families that are receiving it, I know for a fact in my own family, this money, that child tax credit money, has taken millions of families and children literally out of poverty. They don't have to worry about, well, I don't make enough money. At the end of the month, I don't have enough money either. We're going to run out of food by the 15th, or I don't know what to pay. I got 2 or 3 final notices. So do I pay the light bill, or do I if they can afford cable, or can I afford to buy medicine? If you need medicine, or maybe your child, I can't afford medicine for 30 days. So cutting pills in half to try to stretch that, and that's dangerous. Or you're struggling, you can't afford childcare or daycare for the entire month. So maybe you have to take off a week or so and try to get somebody in your family to watch the kids because you don't have enough money to pay for childcare for the entire month. Or kids haven't been able to they need a new coat. Fall, winter's on the way. They need new shoes. They need a tutor, anything. Maybe they need a laptop or a tablet, something to help them with their education. That child tax credit has changed the lives of millions of kids. Talk about that. Talk about keep that going. Making sure that if you have an elderly parent or a grandparent that needs help at home, that there's home health care, that a nurse can come by and check their vitals and make sure they're doing okay. Or have a housekeeper come by and mop and sweep. Maybe because of their condition, they can't clean up their house or apartment now. So have a housekeeper come by, clean up their house, take out their garbage, mop the floor, vacuum the floor. Go with them on their doctor's appointment. Go pick up their medicine if they have a prescription. Go to Walgreens or CVS or whatever the drugstore is in their neighborhood and go pick up their medicine. Or maybe go with them to buy groceries, or maybe go pick up groceries for them. Help for our elderly parents and grandparents. Or some of you all that need that help that's watching me right now. That's what you need to focus on. President Biden, you're trying, and Democrats. And President Biden, let me just say this. I want to bring my guest on. By any means necessary. Malcolm X, one of his legendary quotes is, by any means necessary. You got to make it happen. Your boy, Joe Manchin, is sabotaging. He is intentionally sabotaging your presidency. He wants to make sure he's not going to support the Voting Rights Act. He's not going to support passing the Voting Rights Act. He's not going to approve ending this crazy term, this filibuster, which means that they only need 51 votes to pass any law. Oh, he don't want to do that. He don't want to pass the Voting Rights Act. He thinks that money going to people who need help with their child care, or who wants to send their child to preschool, to pre-K, or maybe they need insurance, more affordable, or the people that are getting $250, $300 a month, the child tax credit. He thinks that they're lazy. Oh, it's entitlement. They're entitled to live a decent life and to get a fair shot. He didn't say that when Orange Hitler passed the huge tax credits, or tax breaks, I should say, for millionaires like him and his family, and billionaires and these corporations like his coal company. I didn't hear him say, well, you know, us wealthy people, no, and it wasn't paid for. Those are entitlements. I don't want to create a corporate entitlement system. I didn't hear a peep. You could hear a rat piss on cotton, because he didn't say a word about that. So your boy Manchin, Cinema, they are sabotaging your presidency. So listen, you better rock with black folks and people of color and women who want to protect their reproductive rights, the people that put you in office, President Biden, like the black folks here in the state of South Carolina, where I'm at, that literally resurrected your campaign and your campaign for presidency. There would be no President Biden. There would be no democracy, because Orange Hitler would have burned it down. Like Rome back in the day, it would be burnt down. It would be a dictatorship, because dude thought he was a dictator. If it wasn't for black folks in South Carolina, and you wouldn't have the House, you wouldn't have the Senate if it wasn't for black folks in Georgia, specifically around Atlanta and Savannah and other areas. So rock with the folks that got you. Energize your base. Let them see that you are fighting for them, and I promise you that black folks will always fight for you. We fought for you. We fought for people when they didn't even fight for us. But them days are over. Let me bring in my guest, because I'm on a roll. I'm on one. I guess she's like, boy, dude, you on one. So without any further delay, she is a news producer, political beat producer in the DC, Virginia, Maryland, DMV area, a former co-worker, colleague of mine. I told you guys her second time on the show. This is just a brilliant, beautiful, just bad black woman, Miss Tamala Savage, my sister. There you
Thank
go.
you.
Hi. So I'm gonna do like DJ. I'm gonna do like DJ Cassidy. Pass the mic. Thank you for being patient. I'm sorry. I'm on one today, as you see. So I'm on
I
one.
noticed.
I'm on one every day. But let's get you're there in Virginia. The day
Mhm.
after, what's the buzz like? What's the conversation being on the street? What's the fallout? Give us some insight from right there in Virginia.
Well, the voters went to the polls, and more people obviously voted for Glenn Youngkin in Virginia than they did Terry McCullough. Um, but blacks picked up gains in different mayor races of course, and there's some ballot issues. But here is what needs to really be pointed out. No one's crying voter fraud or talking about a stolen election. Instead, the winners are talking about how they won, and the losers are talking about why they lost.
So can I stop
And
you, Tamala? Hold on. I need you to say that part, the part that you started off the sentence with. I want you to say that loud, looking into the camera for the folks in the back, for all the folks that's talking about voter integrity and there's been cheating you're right. I haven't heard nobody, even though the main dude, Orange Hitler, is, voter integrity and the elections there's cheating going on. I haven't heard none of that crowd say anything about any cheating in Virginia. So just please repeat that, because I think that is so very important what you said.
no one's crying voter fraud or talking about a stolen election. They're talking about the winners are talking about how they won, and again, the losers are talking about why they lost. So I think the final, lesson from last night is just that in a democracy, the voters always have the last word, and they delivered their verdict last night. Our history lesson, as we talked about on our show, after the speeches, it's time to lead. And should the winners fail to do so over the next 4 years, then they will end up being the losers. And I think, here in the DMV area, it wasn't that blacks didn't show up. It wasn't that black and brown people didn't show up. Many were just tired of not seeing anything done here in Washington.
Okay, say that part again. That's true. So what advice would you? Well, before that, I'll let that be the last question. Let me ask you this, because you're there in Virginia. So from what I've seen and heard from watching since last night, that apparently not a lot, but a significant number of suburban, and we cut through the chase on this show here. When they say suburban women, they mean white women that live in the suburbs. I don't know why they think that black women don't live in the suburbs, because black women do. As a matter of fact, the rate of home ownership for black women, I think, is higher than any individual demographic. But I digress on that point. But I'm looking at Texas, and these people that live, especially in Northern Virginia, very educated population, pretty sophisticated for the most part. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you live and work in Northern Virginia. But
yeah, the DMV area actually has probably some of the most intelligent,
so
people in the country.
How is it that these suburban women didn't look at what's happened in Texas, and knowing that this dude basically wants to run the same playbook, and are they not concerned that Virginia will be like Texas, and they won't pass some law to where women can't seek a legal abortion after 6 weeks? Were they not concerned about that? Were they not concerned about losing their democracy? And how did they fall? I know I addressed it in my monologue, but I want to get your take. You there in Virginia. How is it that, and it's not just women, people, and let me just ask, if I could do a focus group with a group of white people, the ones that voted for Biden and then voted for Youngkin. And I was like, well, I was concerned about education. Because I saw a comedian was out yesterday, I guess, out at some of the polls after the people came out and asked him, were you concerned about education? And what is critical race theory? I don't know. Well, why don't you like it? Don't ask me that. I don't know, but I just don't like it. It's evil. Well, why is it evil? Leave me alone. So there's no school. Okay, so you can back this up, but you can take my word. I did my homework. I knew this. There's no public school, elementary school, middle school, or high school in Virginia or in America that teaches critical race theory. It is a theory that is taught in law school. And basically what critical race theory is, it's the theory, and it shows where the intersection of racism and white nationalism and white supremacy basically intersected with the way that laws were written. That's how we got Jim Crow laws, because at the foundation of all your Jim Crow laws, the foundation of slavery, it was legal because they were writing laws through the prism of white supremacy that said blacks were inferior to whites. So basically it's teaching the truth about American history. And yes, that is a major part of this nation's history. Just like what happened to our indigenous brothers and sisters, our Native American brothers and sisters. The Trail of Tears, Andrew Johnson, where you had Native Americans murdered, taken their land taken in Florida and in Georgia, and moved onto land which is now Oklahoma, placed on reservations, given blankets with smallpox. Yes, this is part of America's history. Yes, America has done some great things, but America has done some evil things. So if you're going to teach history, you have to teach it all. The only way to learn from your mistakes is to acknowledge and admit them. If you go to the doctor and you've been hurting or you feel a big knot somewhere or pain, you can't get cured or diagnosed until you have to be honest with your doctor and say, oh, doc, it hurts, and it hurts here. So I guess my question, along with the comment, is how did people, you just said, highly educated, sophisticated, how did they not, what does that say about those people who may have voted for Biden and went and voted for Youngkin and tried to say, well, I'm concerned about what's going to be being taught in my schools. It wasn't being taught. It's never going to be taught. But my question is, or let me just say this. If it was taught, Tamala, what's wrong with that? I gave a quick story. Let me give it again for those who didn't watch yesterday or Monday. I can't remember exactly what grade I was in because I went to school from kindergarten to 8th grade. It was the same school. And I remember when we learned about the Holocaust. And I felt bad. I was like, wow, that's horrible. How could anybody be so evil and cruel and diabolical and murderous, cold-blooded to another group of humans just because they look different or they pray to a different God? So I think it's important that all kids, I want white kids to understand the horrors of slavery. And if they feel bad and guilty, that's a good thing. And this is to me why it's a good thing. Because if you feel bad or guilty, it shows you have a sense of empathy, compassion, and humanity. And those young white kids hopefully will grow up to say, no, we can never make that mistake. We can never mistreat Black people or Native Americans or Chinese or any other or another group of white people that maybe pray to a different God. We can never, ever make that mistake again. I think for humanity, that would be a good thing. So I digress. So I'll let you try to answer the questions that I asked.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Youngkin's campaign, Geno, never really made it, they didn't make it a secret that their plan was to target Virginia's vote-rich suburbs, to kind of claw back, some of the support that the GOP lost under the Trump administration, right? Only thing he did was he distanced himself from Trump during his election. But the one thing that we covered day to day in Virginia and what the voters really wanted was voters wanted to touch school issues. That was their main driving force for them to vote Republican. And what Youngkin did was he catered to that. He says, we're going to take all the CRTs out of the schools. We're going to take out the great books that people are used to reading. We're going to do this and do that. On the other hand, McMillan says, well, it's not up to the parents, it's up to the teacher. And so that's polar opposite.
Yeah. Well,
and voters went out and they voted for Youngkin.
McAuliffe shot himself.
Was a huge thing on in Virginia this year.
Yeah, I'm
for
sorry.
voting.
I didn't mean to jump in right there. I thought you were finished. McAuliffe shot himself in the foot with that. But I got to go back to something you just said. So Youngkin was talking about he was going to take CRT, critical race theory, out of the schools. It's not in the schools. It was never in
Right.
the schools. So come on, you all. How did
Yeah.
so that's a lie. So what, they believe they were that dumb. What is that telling me? So either they tapped into a lack of intelligence or a sense of racism and racial animosity toward black folks or toward their children learning the truth. It's got to be. What else could it be, Tammy? That's my take, because you said that that some of these suburban voters, they were concerned about something that wasn't being taught. That's not taught in their schools. So
Correct.
what were they concerned about? And it wasn't like McCullough said, because it's not taught. Once again, it's not taught in any no high school, no elementary school. Most colleges don't even teach it. It's something that's only taught in certain law schools. So it was like he ran on this lie, and he created this sense of fear of something that hadn't happened and wasn't going to happen and isn't going to happen in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. And they didn't know that.
He tapped into anger. He tapped into anger, and it worked for him.
But what were they angry when it comes to critical race theory? I'm just wondering, what were they angry about? How could they be angry about something that's not happening to them and wasn't going to happen to them or their kids?
Well, and there are some teachers, and there were some teachers in some lessons of things that have been going on right now, like the BLM, the Black Lives Movement, and stuff like that. So people were teaching that, and it's okay to teach that, right? We think we should be taught, but parents had a problem with it. Some parents had a problem with it. And I think somewhere in their mind, that's how they factored in all of that and looked at it as critical race theory, which is really not. It's just telling kids having the I guess the right, so to speak, to talk about different issues, not just something that's been in a history book that's 100 years old.
Jeez, wow, man. So what? I guess now they can't talk about. So are they going to eliminate Black History Month now? And Dr. King holiday? They can't teach you about Dr. King and Rosa Parks, because I guess that's going to make some folks feel uncomfortable there. So where does it stop? That's just the silliness and the hypocrisy and the BS of it all. But so here, before I let you get out of here, last question. So you saw what happened on the ground. What advice, if President Biden gave you a call and said, Tamala Savage, I hear you're a brilliant woman. I saw you on that old loud black dude, Geno. I saw you on his show. He got something to say about everything. But I like your style. So what advice, and he said, what advice would you give me going forward to prepare so something like what happened in Virginia last night won't happen nationwide in the midterms in 2020? What would you tell them to do?
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Dems are looking, they're not looking good. But all of America, cheers for Washington to get something done.
Well, let me just jump in, because you said something important. I want you to kind of drill down on that, because I could imagine somebody saying, you said the Democrats are not looking good. In your opinion, or what you see in Virginia, why are the Democrats not looking good?
Well, they can't. They're stuck on a spending bill. They've got nothing done with the voters' rights. They have one holdout, and they just seem like they're not together. They're a party that's just not together. Now they're fighting amongst themselves within their party. So now it's progressives and moderates within the same party. I mean, and I think a lot of people are just getting frustrated with it, which is why Youngkin won. But lately in Washington, there's just been more hot air coming out of the nation's capital than solutions to every problem, to everyday problems, including.
That's a good point. But Tamala, so let me ask you this. Do you think the voters, because we saw what happened in Virginia, and once again, we're talking about people, I know a lot of voters are not as sophisticated, politically savvy, because they got lives, and you're still dealing with the pandemic and Folks are trying
Correct.
to, they lost. So I get it. We all went through this whole pandemic thing, and our kids couldn't go to school, and we couldn't go anywhere. I get that. But still, when people say the Democrats can't get it together, wait a minute. It's not the Democrats. It's two people who claim on paper that they're Democrats who act like a Republican, who act like a Manchurian candidate. Somebody say, oh yeah, I'm a Democrat, I'm gonna support the president, and get in and sabotage his agenda. So everybody else signed off on wanted to pass both bills. There's only two people, and one primarily, I call those two people Goofy and Grumpy, Cinema and Manchin. She got them looking goofy with them big picture frame windows, and Manchin just old grumpy with the big chin and the nose, hawk nose. That's my editorial comment, but it's my show. But the point I'm trying to make is,
Right.
you don't think that voters realize is President Biden is done just about everything. Yes, he could do more. He could just now. I don't think he can do anything. Manchin has made it clear. He acts like he's the president. He's like, I don't give a damn about President Biden. This is because this whole everything I talked about, universal pre-K, the fact that the child tax credits that people are receiving, that $250 to $300 a month that people are receiving, assistance, home health care, saving money on prescription drugs, all of that stuff, everything, more affordable health care. This is President Biden's agenda. It's like, dude, Manchin, are you on the team? It's like, this is the coach. The coach is like, this is the play to run. And you just like, damn you, coach. I don't care what you want to run. This is what I want to run. It's like, dude, really? So you don't think that, do you think or do you not think that voters, I guess it didn't work in Virginia, they can't see that? And why would they blame Democrats and not say, listen, there's only two people that's holding up everything. This is to help the American people, all American people, right
Well,
there.
the difference between Democrats and Republicans are that Democrats don't stick together, and the Republicans do. So rather, at the end of the day, Manchin's a Democrat, and they're in-house. There's so much in-house fighting that nothing can be done.
So you got to ask yourself, why is he working so hard? Who is he really trying to help? Who is he trying to protect? Because he's not trying to help President Biden and he claims to be a Democrat. This is his president, all right? And this is his president's agenda, an agenda that will help his state. Joe Manchin he is the senator of a state that ranks 49th out of 50 states in poverty. The second poorest state, and the state that's got a population that's 93.5% white, only 3.6% black. So that means that, so if you are in the second poorest state in America, and almost 94% of that state is white, that means there's a lot of poor white people that would benefit from universal pre-K, that are receiving that extra $250 to $300 a month with those child tax credits, that's got elderly parents or grandparents or elderly themselves that need that assistance of somebody coming in that can help them in terms of maybe cooking a meal or cleaning up the house or taking them to their doctor's appointments or going to pick up their medicine. That would, or maybe more people in the second poorest state, they rank at the bottom when it comes to health outcomes. There's so many uninsured poor people in West Virginia that would benefit. So why would he not just sign this bill and this legislation that would help the vast majority of the people he claims to represent? I know it's a rhetorical question. I don't
There's
expect.
also a poll out, that says young voters. So now you have to think about the young voters. The young voters are getting very frustrated by just what's going on with the Democrats. And with the Democratic leaders, and so they may not turn up for the Democrats once there's another election during midterms.
So It's interesting. I want to get your take on that because how is it that the Republicans who ain't doing jack, who is, this is what they're doing. They're doing as a matter of fact, they're saying the quiet part out loud. Mitch McConnell, Mitch better have my money. McConnell said it publicly. He's not going to do anything to help President Biden's political agenda. He wants to hurt President Biden, and he is clear he doesn't give another Kentucky, one of the poorest states in America. So you got two millionaires. One of them, Mitch McConnell, married into money. His wife is from China. Her families are millionaires plus from China. And another one got rich in the coal business, mansion in West Virginia. He and I believe his daughter. So you got, why is it that the Republicans are getting a pass? They're not trying to help President Biden because it's not about party. These are policies that are going to help Republicans in Kentucky, in West Virginia, in Texas, in Alabama, in Mississippi, just like they'll help Democrats in New York or California or Illinois or Georgia. So how's it that the Republicans seem to get a pass? They are intentionally sabotaging it, and basically they got like a Trojan horse. They got an insider. They got an inside job going. They got Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema say, okay, look, y'all state Democrats, but here's the deal, sabotage President Biden's agenda, then piss off black folks, make them feel demoralized, make them feel that all that energy they spent getting people to go out and vote, standing out in the rain and everything to vote, folks that had never voted in the middle of a global pandemic when we didn't even have a vaccine available, risk their lives to vote. Don't pass the voting rights bill. Don't do anything to help President Biden look good. We got to sabotage him. They don't think people can. How is it more people can't see that and don't hold the Republicans and Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema? Why weren't those people, those Republicans that voted for Youngkin, how come they're not mad at the Republicans in D.C. that's not trying to help to pass the president's agenda? I know, rhetorical question. I don't know. Do you have anything to add to I mean, they're in Virginia. I'm just wondering, because you just had the election yesterday.
I can't speak for them. I can't speak for the Republicans. I mean, we all know that.
What do you think or feel? I mean, what if maybe anecdotally you heard that? Why is it that Republicans, or now I heard this term Biden Republicans, why are they not holding the Republicans? Say, hey, wait a minute, hold on now. These policies, these bills are going to help everybody. So we're holding you accountable because you could help. All it would take is two Republicans that could say, okay, you know what, President Biden, this is going to help. This is going to help single families and help poor and working class people in my state. Okay.
Well, as we said, at the end of the day, Republicans stick together and Dems don't.
Yeah, that's true.
Cori Bush out of, I believe it's Missouri, she said, as far as Manchin, because he's obviously the holdout here, she said, on the spending bill, she said he's anti-Black, he's anti-child, he's anti-women, and he's anti-immigrant. And I would add on, he's anti-Democrat.
Yeah. Then I would add on, he's anti-democracy. Because like I said, if old boy that just got out of that White House, boy, if that mentality ever gets back in the White House, man, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. It's about to get real crazy. So last thing on your way out the door, off the show, if you had a 30-second, 60-second elevator pitch to President Biden and the Democrats, you would tell them, y'all need to do what?
You need to make some changes and actually get some work done. I've already said that. Yeah, I've already said it, but you need to make sure that you get the work done. I mean, people are rooting for Washington. We just want things done. And when it's not getting done, then it becomes, there's a sense of why can't you guys get this done? You have the majority. Why aren't you able to get anything done? And I think people at the end of the day is what Americans want to see. And when they become lethargic with that, right? It's people are starting to go stray away from the Dems.
So, last thing, I know I said I was going to let you go, but I just piggyback on what you just said. I want to get your take.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with everything you just said. But if you know you got two people that are helping and said, we don't give a damn, we not helping this dude pass nothing, because it's clear, Manchin and Cinema. So do you see a workaround? Because the only workaround that I see is if I was President Biden, man, every day I would have a news conference. I would be signing executive orders. And I know people say, well, executive orders, another president could come in and he could get rid of those executive orders, or they could file a lawsuit. I'd say, damn it, go to court. I ain't worried about nobody getting into the White House. While I'm here on my watch, I'm going to make sure that I am getting something done. And even if there are people in my own party who claim to be a Democrat, who are obviously anything but a Democrat, who don't believe in democracy, I'm going to do everything that I can, because the people that put me in the people's house expect this out of me. They need it out of me. And he talks about restoring the soul of America. If you want to restore the soul of America, restore the faith that people had in you by getting something done, like Tamala said, even if it means you have to go ahead and be gangster and just sign executive orders every hour on the hour, damn it, if that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? How would you work around the Manchin and Cinema problem?
There's no way to. I mean, you can't work around it. You need their vote. I think the Dems are doing all that they can. They're talking to them. President Biden's has been calling. They've amended. They've taken out money. They've taken out programs. So it just is what it is. But like I said, one thing that's very noticeable is the Republicans stick together. They're like a husband and wife. They may fight in the bedroom, but you're not going to see their dirty laundry when they're outside, right? And the Dems just fight all the time, and so it's insane.
So
It's insane.
what do you think about just going the executive order route? If Manchin and Cinema are just, because it's clear that they're not going to help at all. So
Cinema is actually on board now. Manchin is the holdout.
Really? Wow.
Yes. Manchin is the holdout. And by the way, we just got some breaking news that Phil Murphy, actually the Democratic governor of New Jersey, won by probably this much. So
it don't matter.
Well,
even if he just won by one vote, he won. So
yeah.
But that's a red flag. Get some stuff done. President Biden, get that pen out. I got one for you if you need one. Get that pen out. Let's get to writing. Let's get to signing. Let's get some executive orders. Let's get some stuff done. As Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. Tamala Savage, great job. Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
We'll be reaching out to you real soon. I think you gave some great advice. I'm going to try to make sure that, now, if you got some contacts in the White House, you may tell them, hey, y'all need to watch Geno Jones' show. I was on there. I got some advice for President Biden. Just happened to, maybe go in there with the tablet, get it on YouTube, and let it be playing in the background, and let the president, hey, who's that? Oh, you might want to, Mr. President, there's this woman, Miss Tamala Savage. We thought she had some great advice. Why don't you take a listen? Let me press play. So I'm gonna talk to some of my people, because I know you got some people, and I got some people in DC. So we're gonna see if we can if we can get that.
Some people that know some people.
Yeah, so we're gonna see because hey, listen, President Biden, we on your team, because your team is America's team. Because if you win, we all win, irregardless. Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, Blue Party, Alien Party, Black, White, brown, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, straight, gay, trans, we all, because bottom line, if you travel to another country, they won't even necessarily say, oh, you're black or you white. They'll say, you are an American. So remember that. Thank you, Ms. Tamala Savage. Have a great day.
No problem. You too.
All right. Great job. She did a great job. All right, I got to get out of here. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Yes, 3:30 p.m. out there in Los Angeles, the city of angels. Shout out to my Los Angeles Lakers. They won last night. I got faith in y'all. Just, LeBron, I know you. AD, dude, you need to act like you on the south side of Chicago. Let these people understand how we get down in the shy, baby. They want to see that dog. Bite them in their ass. Show them how we do it. All right. A shout out to Mr. Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, KLB Cutting Up, KELBECUTTINUP. Shout out to Alexandria Jones and Bruce Gage, the official wardrobe consultants and stylists for the Geno Jones Show. Alexandria Jones, fashion designer, fashion design major, supermodel, fashion design major, Columbia College, Chicago. Shout out to my alma mater. Shout out to Brandy Davis, who's watching right now. How you doing, my sister? Thank you. She's, I have like a live chat room. I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. She's one of my loyal viewers. We went to Columbia College together. So Alexandria Jones on Instagram. Check out her work and her fashions, her designs. She is fire. _ Lexi. So underscore is that line at the bottom. So line at the bottom, underscore Lexi, LEXXIE, space, one space over, Nicole, NICOLE. You can search Bruce Gage on Instagram and Facebook. Just type in GAGE, Bruce, BRUCE, in case you didn't know how to spell it. Gage is GAGE, GAGE. I love each and every one of you. Mother, you know I love you more than life itself. Thank you for watching. Once again, I want to thank Tamala Savage, one of my contributors. She's a producer, news producer, and politics is their beat right there in the, they call it the DMV, the DC, Virginia, Maryland area. Right there, she's right there in Virginia. So she gave us like the day after, like the post-game recap. So she gave us the post-election recap on what the mood and the vibe is on the ground right there in the state of Virginia. All right, y'all asked for it. All you suburban women and suburban moms. All right. When abortion is not legal, or when he basically turns Virginia into Texas, and you got to go to Maryland or DC, if you need a safe and legal abortion, all right, if you lose some other rights, all right, just understand, you asked for it, you got it. So I got to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be tomorrow, Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. In the meantime, before I go, let me just say one more thing. Please, everybody, be blessed. And thanks for watching. Once again, thanks to Tamala Savage, my guest today. We'll see you. Oh, subscribe. Tell everybody you know. Subscribe to the channel. Share this and every episode, and like every episode. Okay, I'm gone for real. Thanks. See you Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.